is not about going for the late phase of the game. Gen.G just wants to survive that lane and then let Kalista and Azir take over the mid to late game phases. So basically they just blind pick Renekton not to get countered by dynamics. And well, Rich King back onto his Aatrox.
I mean,
and he delivered this time.
Yeah.
This time.
He did. I mean, the Aatrox is coming through, and it was just so interesting to me that Gen.G just didn't respect it at all. They're like, yeah, okay, whatever. They respected the Bard. They saw, okay, which I don't really know exactly why. I think Bard is great into Aphelios, as we just saw in the last series, but you always got to respect Brad. That's just kind of the way it goes with Brad the Chat. But, yeah, they just let Rich get his best champion by far. I mean, you saw the last time Dynamics played, they got crushed, but Rich was like 1v3ing.
Yeah, and as previously mentioned, I think there have been enough data for Gen.G to come up with the conclusion where, yeah, we can just let him get his hands on it, because other teams did the identical things and they still ended up winning the series. So seems like Gen.G is confident with Rich having Aatrox, and also seems like they have a lot of insurance policies as well with the Azir and Kalista.
Yeah, absolutely. Once that Azir gets fed towards the latest stages of the game, they will be going forward and forward only. And so that is the name of the game there from Gen.G. And we have a pause. Didn't even look like everybody loaded into the game. And so, Rich, Brian, you made it right on time. So whenever we have a new caster, there's kind of a ritual where we get this really long pause. And we just have to sit here and talk and really put the pressure on. But thankfully for you, it is just a toilet issue and not a unsolvable computer, you know.
Oh, those one of those catastrophes that take eons to get resolved. I mean, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Even though whether it's a short issue or a long issue, I think I can withhold my ground.
Yeah, I think you can too. And much like I had a chair next to me, now does Beyond, who's the jungler, as we're taking a look at the drink as well. I wonder what's in there.
I'll guess Ice Americano.
Yeah, that's a very fair guess for a Korean player. Very popular drink. And he is going to take a penalty for this, of course, because, you know, there's ample time to go before, to potentially go after, unless you can't hold it. And then you just got to take the penalty. And everybody's kind of chuckling about it on both sides. We even had the voice comms of the players the last time when Ben had to have the toilet issue.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny.
Well, I mean, if Rich comes back and delivers in this game, then, you know, it's all good, right?
Yeah.
I'm just curious, how much pressure will his teammates mount on him?
Yeah. I mean, you're definitely going to get teased a little bit when this happens, of course, but I'm getting word that he's now back in his chair, so that didn't take much time at all.
Not at all?
Yeah. Suppose it was the quicker version. And, yeah, we're ready to go back into the game. I love the LCK music. We have some good music over here, Brian.
So do I. I concur with your assessment.
Do you have a favorite song, or you haven't paid too much attention to it?
I don't know the titles of the songs. So.
Yeah, but there's like, you know, there's like Pick Band song. That's my favorite. That's a jam right there.
I'll go with that one too.
Okay, good choice.
Well, like I said, I don't know the titles, so
Yeah,
I had to like think, because there could be like some of the songs could be overlapped. So
yeah, true. And there's also the one at the end of every day, where it's like you're all that I want, you're all that I need.
Oh, that's not
Set
my
you
type.
free.
Sorry.
That's pretty good once the chorus comes in. I kind of like it. I've had a lot of people reach out to me as well, asking, you know, like, oh, please help me. What's the title of the song? I have no idea. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't have the list. I don't have the info.
Can't help you guys with that either.
My best idea would just be to use like an app like Shazam or something. As this is really awkward. Beyond's gonna have to flash.
Yeah, this is a no-no start for Olaf. Burning his flash in 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And also shown on the screen, Alistar with the phase rush that everybody probably expected. That'd be very interesting how that actually plays in this game. And
yeah,
what kind of situations can Kalista Alistar duo can bring to the table?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the phase rush versus like an aftershock or something, or like a guardian, right, which was very popular on a lot of different champions for a while, is the phase rush is going to be much better once you hit level 6. Obviously, the aftershock going to be less useful once you get your ultimate, which is basically like the better version of aftershock as Alistar. So this allows you to do more in team fights and later on in the game, whereas aftershock might give you a little bit more help in the lane, but they're going up against Aphelios Braum. It's not gonna be a lot of action probably that's happening down here in this bottom lane.
Yep, and Volley started blue and headed straight to red, whereas Olaf got his red and is cleared the cross and then on his way currently at the blue buff.
Yeah, I guess Olaf can very often just go for a full clear, but I think in this case, he's a little bit scared that he's going to get invaded now that he doesn't have his flash. As Clid is trying to make something happen, actually. There's the flash, but the immediate concussive blows, I think, with the Severum Q is what I would imagine to just, you know, line up a ton of auto attacks right away. And he gets stunned up. And it's just a trade in flashes. Hextech flash taken here by life, so I suppose that's going to be a nice little victory for him.
Yep, and although it's unfortunate for Braum to burn his flash, but that was a great disengage from Braum and Aphelios because they could have taken a lot more damage, or worst case scenario, they could have, one of them could have ended up dead. So great victory, and now Volibear getting the skull crab. And go through the pit between the mid lane and the red side blue buff and try to exploit potential opportunities since Azir is pushing the lane.
Kuzan here, he might just get dove by Clid. We've seen knives like this not really work in the past, but he can get in there. There's the stun, and he is going to get away with the first blood. BDD just swipes him on his way out with the fadeaway auto. And that was about as simple as it gets. They made that look really easy, like we should do it every game or something.
And there was no vision available to spot that Volibear after he rotated away from the bot lane. As soon as he got the crab, and then he was aware of the fact that there's potentially no vision available near the mid lane. So I think it was a great play call from Azir and Volibear, and Azir shoved the wave and had about 3 to 4 minions available to tank the turret shot, and that was just enough for Volley and Azir to get the first blood onto Corki.
Yeah, for sure, and you can see that Kuzan, he didn't flash. I think he did not expect that at all. Like he was so taken aback that he's like, well, now that I'm stunned, I'm not gonna flash now. And there was a chance, like he could have even forced a flash out of BDD, but we're gonna take another look.
Yep.
간다.
I'm on my way. Yep, that was it.
Yeah, and I heard someone screaming in the background, like, "Wow!"
I think that was the Korean caster.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. It was very clean done.
Yeah, it was well executed for sure.
Yeah.
And then great awareness from both the mid and jungle of Gen.G.
For sure. Good setup. And you can see what this Hextech Flash is doing. That's why it is a nice little advantage in terms of summoners, I suppose, in the favor of the Alistar. Can always just sit in the brush, Hextech Flash, and threaten potential plays onto your flashless support.
And the laning phase for Corki is only going to get more dire from here on. It's already behind 15 CS, although he is receiving the big wave, but he just doesn't have enough firepower to fight back against Azir with the Lost Chapter right now.
It's really annoying to deal with, as apparently this Aatrox from Rich is also very annoying to deal with. The Renekton is doing well in terms of CS, but he did fall behind a little bit on XP as he teleported into lane down a level. So a little bit unfortunate for him, but Rascal should be okay as he's very even on the CS, even ahead a little bit.
Yeah, and due to the control of tempo on both mid lanes and bot lanes, Gen.G was able to secure the first dragon with ease, which was the Infernal Dragon. Good bolster for the team comp itself. And the second Drake is now Mountain. So I guess the soul will be most likely Cloud then?
Yeah, that's usually the way it goes, Brian. You've been paying attention. We have a lot of Cloud Souls here in the LCK. It's just kind of the way it works. And I mean, I suppose that can be pretty nice for the hard engage that Gen.G are going to want to pull off if they can get to that soul. Obviously, a Renekton and a Volibear running straight at you alongside of a Alistar. It's going to have a lot of fun.
Looking to make plays.
Yeah, it looks like they are. Beyond is going to get here first, though. Rascal a bit indecisive as to what he wants to do. He doesn't want to dive the turret, and he doesn't exactly want to back off, and now he has to flash, which is very interesting.
Yeah, that was very perplexing from Rascal and Clid. Seems like they weren't entirely sure how they were going to carry out the rest of the play, and then they seemed very indecisive, and in the end, Rascal had to burn his flash for that.
Yeah.
So definitely a small victory for Dynamics in that regard, getting rid of the top laners, summoners. But I mean, Volibear just has full control of the Rift right now. Like, whenever Olaf and Volibear encounter, seems like Gen.G's champions converge much faster than those of Dynamics. So it allows Volibear to essentially do whatever he wants. And right now, they converge onto the Rift Herald, and I think Gen.G will secure it with these.
Yeah, it does feel like every lane has priority right now. For the side of Gen.G, BDD is just straight up owning Kuzan so far after the dive. Obviously, bottom lane is going pretty well as well. Very passively playing this lane is deokdam and GuGer, which, you know, it can be good because you're not dying, but at the same time, you can get behind enough CS to equal even more than a kill eventually. And we've seen this a little bit in summer especially, where like the top 80 carries will just always win lane like this, seemingly with not much of an explanation. I mean, obviously there was the little bit of a play that Life did that forced the flash at a GuGer, but other than that, it's been, you know, pretty stale down here with not much action.
And I think this all transpired due to that 1 minute 15 second mark burnt flash by Olaf from the get-go. Gen.G's champion converging towards the red size red buff, and then spotted Olaf, disposed of his flash. And then I think that really set back both the mid lane and the bot lanes of Dynamics, because Olaf had no leverage and no potency to gank those lanes without his flash.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, he likes to farm out his jungle and then look for potential plays, and because of his no flash, he was just put very far behind. He had to play very passively. And you can see down here, still playing passively is GuGer and deokdam. They just let a couple of those minions go. And Ruler and Life are just letting it push into them, which is something that we always like to talk about here. Just setting up the wave so it's pushing into you so you can set up potential ganks. And look at how Life and Ruler are positioned to be very aggressive and to try to deny a lot of plays, as thankfully that turret's going to pick up the kill on the minion.
And Voli is also on the southern side of the Rift as well right now. So, and it seemed like throughout the entirety of the game thus far, Volibear has been able to match Olaf's routes. And whenever Olaf is there, then Voli's there as well, except for the one time in mid lane, and then Voli converted that into a first blood. So
yeah,
definitely Olaf just having no opportunities whatsoever to help out his laners. And I think Volibear played a pivotal role in negating Olaf's gank potentials. And from there we can see 14 CS different between the two mid laners, and 14-15 different between the AD carries. So Gen.G definitely cruising through the early phase of the game, thanks to that early burnt flash from Olaf, and then Volibear's jungle routes as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's very true. And so far, Gen.G just looking to get on top of this Mountain Drake. We saw that Dynamics was kind of posturing for it, but at the end of the day, they're just going to let it go. And this is part of the problem with champions that are like Volibear and Olaf. They're very similar in the way that they play out. They're kind of just going to run right at you. And if you're behind, you're not going to have the survivability. You're not going to have the items to make a difference. And what you end up doing is just running away. And I can't help but feel that that's kind of the way it's going to go here for Beyond. He found no value early on, whereas Clid did, and is now ahead. He's going to get even further ahead, going to get more gold in here with the Rift Herald. And the Volibear is just going to end up being so much more effective than the Olaf in this one. That was a nice little shutdown onto some of the damage from Shelly.
And unfortunately, BDD wasn't able to acquire the turret plate gold as well. Seemed like Volibear wanted to really strengthen that late game insurance policy of his team, but failed to do so. I mean, at least Voli got the gold, right? So
yeah,
he can do something about it. And just to add on to your point, yes, both champions are very similar in terms of that. If they have no leverage, then they become completely futile from the mid game. And I think that, once again, I just can't stress how important it was for Gen.G to remove that leverage from Olaf from the get-go, and then allow Volibear to just tag along and then go for 3v3 or even 2v2 skirmishes, where Volibear can definitely excel despite his recent nerfs, but it wasn't onto his damage potential or anything. So
this mid lane is getting pretty ugly for Team Dynamics. They tried to call in Beyond, and then he was like, well, I'm getting poked out too.
Yeah, and also because Beyond revealed himself in the mid lane, now you can see that the bot lane of Gen.G just shoved the wave in, and then Alistar roaming to acquire additional vision onto the red side jungle. So definitely they're getting a lot of edge from this completely dominant, one-sided dominant mid lane tempo. I mean, BDD is just manhandling Kuzan at this point.
It was kind of from level 2. As Azir can be quite annoying with the poke that he has, with the arcane comment and stuff like that, but at the same time, after that gank, it was kind of all downhill from there. So they've got wins there. Of course, it was the Cloud Drake Soul. There was no question on our minds that would come through, Brian, and it has. And Gen.G do seem in a position to just slowly take that down. We're not having a lot of action in this game. It's just the calculated Gen.G style. They get that one little advantage, and they're trying to snowball it as much as possible without taking any further risks. You notice they're not trying to dive top lane. They're not trying to dive bottom lane. They're just continuing with their winning lanes, and they're happy with that.
Yeah, and they should be, because why would you make such a bold / reckless moves?
We have a little fight here. Beyond is going to have to Ragnarok as Exhaust is going to come in, but it's just the flash out of Rascal to get out of there. Not even sure if he needed to flash that one, but at the end of the day, nobody actually is going to go down, as Ruler's just getting free hits onto this turret. So at the end of the day, Gen.G still getting some really nice value on top of the second Rift Herald, maybe even a bottom turret, at least a lot of damage, as well as some summoners on their side.
Yeah, once again, just another leverage-based play from the Azir and Volibear. And the bot lane of Dynamics had to rotate to help out their allies. So using that, Ruler was able to get those free shots off on the bot turret. And using the second Rip Herald, Gen.G secured the first power as well.
They're like not even reacting to this. Over the wall he will go. But here comes Life, and there's BDD, and that is a huge combo to get straight in. But the ultimate from the Azir is very late, actually, as he's not able to get that value on top of deokdam, who had already flashed and healed. But we do have the TP now coming on in the bottom. Turret is going to go down. BDD still moving forward, but not quite able to pick up that kill onto Beyond, who will get away. We're going to stay here on 1 kill, but still some big wins for Gen.G.
Yeah, that was an uncharacteristic use of the Azir ult by BDD. He's usually very stellar with his use of ult, but that time seemed quite off. And because of that, some of the members of Dynamics were able to keep their lives into pieces.
Yeah.
And here, once again, see that BDD immediately converges in with the Volibear, but here actually the Shurima Shuffle pushes away Beyond and GuGer, allowing GuGer to jump to deokdam with his W. And so basically, BDD just let them live.
Yeah, I really don't know what that ult was, or the TP out of Rich, who just looks silly after that one, as now we're going for the flank. In goes the Corki, though. Big flanks on both sides. BDD is just barely going to survive somehow. Now in the fight, you can see Clid is getting low, but Rascal is actually getting a lot of value in here. Kuzan, though, still full health, as down will go Rich, actually on the top side, who is desperately trying to get on top of BDD, but Kuzan, still alive here, is finally going to be taken out, and that is the ace in favor of Gen.G.
Yeah, and despite Kuzan putting up a good fight, he was completely isolated in the Dragon Pit. And then by the time when he was unleashing his full power potential, his allies were already all dead. As you can see here, Kuzan immediately converges onto a BDD, trying to snipe him out, but fails to do so. And by then, there's a double knockup coming from the Alistar onto members of Dynamics. And here, Kuzan is isolated in the pit, doing nothing. And by that time, Beyond is being pursued as well. And there was nothing much that Kuzan could do once it became 1v4 situation.
Yeah, he tried, and he did actually pick up a couple of kills, so it's nice, but it's nothing compared to what Gen.G did receive from that. Even Renekton was getting fed in this one. 3-0-1, able to cut down on the healing as well of the Aatrox.
I mean, I think if Kuzan was able to get rid of BDD from the start of that team fight, then things could have been different, but BDD just led with a sliver of health, and then he wasn't even going back. He was dealing damage with his Sand Soldiers back there, so...
Yeah, I mean, Rich was desperately trying to get on top of him, and then it was like, well, actually no. You're just going to get Shurima shuffled away this time, as BDD remembered how to use that ability.
Yep.
And used it to great effect.
I mean, all lanes are being pushed right now, and there's nothing much that Dynamics can do at this point. They have no leverage, they have no vision available to make plays right now. Gen.G is being very meticulous with their vision placements. So they have taken down 2 turrets now, and then recalled to get more items equipped onto their inventories. Seems like it's going to be a decisive one.
Yeah,
from Gen.G.
It's definitely feeling that way, Brian, and you can see that Team Dynamics are trying to make plays, but there's not really much going on. It's just kind of like desperate rotations up to catch an Azir, who's never really going to get caught unless he's diving. And we're just kind of waiting for some of these objectives to come up. Of course, Team Dynamics did pick up the Cloud Drake, so we're not on the Cloud Soul point just yet. We're going to have to wait for that one. A couple more spawns.
And unfortunately for Dynamics, Cloud Soul is not really a game-changing soul, so yeah, that's very unfortunate. And yes, it is a sign of positivity to drag the game out longer to by denying that soul point, but I mean, I don't think it's going to get them anywhere far from here, because the sheer firepower differential is just completely incomprehensible. You can't describe it with words.
Yeah.
It's that explosive from Gen.G right now.
That's very true. And you can see what Olaf does in this position. It's really not much. I feel like the Volibear can at least like throw out a little bit of poke. I suppose there's axes from Olaf, but Ruler in a really awkward spot here. I don't know what he's doing up there all alone. The rest of his team kind of just leaving him there as as they're clearing out the jungle. Meanwhile, he's just going to be able to lifesteal all of that up. And they do have Kalista, so this is an option to just go in and try to 2 or 3 man the Baron.
And also because the tier 2 mid turret went down so fast, Dynamics has no vision in their own jungle right now, so they have no idea whether they can make conjectures that Gen.G is doing Nashor, but what can they do? They have no vision. They can't just face check everywhere because they can be picked apart. So they could have done nothing but conceding that Nashor. And with this Nashor buff, I think Gen.G will be on their way to slay all the champions of Dynamics and close out game 1.
Yeah. It certainly does feel that way as we are watching this happen. Kuzan does have his package. Now remember, it's not just Aphelios that's kind of the carry here for their team. They do have this Corki, who is currently very fast. They're going to try to burst down this dragon, but I don't feel like Gen.G really care. Again, the singular Cloud Drake is not really going to be a game changer. They're just moving in. They're going to take out a turret and maybe even an inhibitor already. At 23 minutes in the trade for 1 Cloud Drake, I'd say that's a pretty good trade.
Yep. I think anyone will take that trade any day, any night. And dual Cloud won't be game changing either. So.
No. Yeah, it's very true. I mean, I suppose you could maybe argue that Gen.G could have potentially gotten the Cloud Drake and then pushed in and taken it anyway, but with this, they actually increased their uptime with Baron buff because they didn't waste a bunch of time, you know, dilly-dallying around the Cloud Drake, winning a team fight, and then eventually taking it, and then taking the inhibitor and running out of Baron buff. Instead, they have a minute and a half left to where they can threaten turrets, they can threaten dives, as they're looking to right here. Life is thinking about it, but can't quite do it. Fate's Call going to have to be used, as actually a decent amount of pick potential there on the side of Team Dynamics.
Well, I mean, although it may seem like they're just brute forcing to get that tier 2 top turret, but they just have the sheer firepower difference, so they can literally do whatever they want at this point. And like you said, if Alistar's in danger, just use Kalista's R, and then get out of the harm's way, you know? Although this time Kalista is not only not around, but also his ultimate is on cooldown, so gotta be more meticulous than that, Cal.
He was, yeah, he was kind of sitting there all by himself, not really on the same memo as his team, but it's okay. He's not gonna get caught out. Just blows his breastplate for some reason. I can't remember the name of that item, but yeah, it's gonna get him to safety. It's a slow climb here from Gen.G,
and also. Looking at Ruler's itemization, he's basically saying, I ain't dying anytime soon.
Yeah.
And there will be no way, no how that you guys will kill me. So as long as Kalista stays alive, then I think he can just pretty much destroy the opposition single-handedly. Because he has that QSS along with the stopwatch as well. So I don't think he's turning into the gray screen anytime soon.
He's going to be sticking alive, and Clid is, what? A disengaged tactic, we'll call it.
Or maybe he's starting to see ghosts?
Yeah, maybe.
The ghosts of Azir, the ghosts of Kalista, ghosts of Renekton hovering around his eyes.
Yeah, maybe he thought he was playing up against Dom1. Thought he was going up against the player ghost.
Oh my god.
But yeah, not quite.
Yeah.
We're taking a look at some turret health. basically no damage onto any of those turrets. I mean, it's
And also, thus far, it's a perfect turret game for Gen.G right now. It's 7-0. So
Yeah.
I guess the observers were trying to highlight that part, showing what kind of a landslide victory this will be for Gen.G.
Well, Rich is caught out here. Little does he know, he's going to try to get over the wall, though, as Ruler was spotted. And actually, he's backing away, not just going the other way, deciding that that might have been too dangerous. So Rich actually is able to problem solve his way out of being cornered there in the lane.
Well, I think this will be the continuing story for Dynamics versus their oppositions. Just let Aatrox through. Let him have it.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. And clearly, Rich hasn't been able to convert those into dubs right now, right? So
Yeah. No dubs, only L's.
yeah. Well, they're gonna get a fresh hot L.
Yeah.
Against today. At least for game 1.
Yeah, that's the way it's looking.
Games 2 and 3 are yet to come, so never know what Dynamics or even Rich as an individual has in his sleeves, but we'll see. But this game just looks completely dire. Like, I just see no way, no how that Dynamics can come back. Unless members of Gen.G just AFK.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the pick banner. Remember, he was hovering the GP. I mean, the Aatrox right now, even though it is Rich, I mean, he's really not doing anything. But if they had that huge amount of scaling, with how slow this game is going, I feel like that would have given them a much better chance, as this is the big-time flank coming in from Gen.G. And you can see that Dynamics just want to go forward. They know they're getting flanked. They're trying to go for Ruler, who has a stopwatch, but they also get the Cloud Drake and Ruler on top of it. Team Dynamics, they outplay the flank somehow, some way. They're able to get on top of that Kalista.
I mean, there was absolutely no reason for Gen.G to spread that thin, and Kalista just isolated alone to flank the right side of Dynamic. Oof, I think that was a big misplay from Ruler, or just the play call in general. Because, I mean, you have Voli and Renekton to take up the frontier line along with Alistar. Like, why would you spread your guys, spread and put your guys self into harm's way?
Yeah, it's very true. I think he kind of like didn't expect it. Maybe he thought they were just gonna back away, but then it was like the one-up from Team Dynamics. It's like, oh, you think we're gonna back? No, we're just gonna charge straight at you. And with the package, he was like kind of caught off guard too. So he was like, oh crap, I guess I'm just dead. As we're gonna take another look here, Ruler's actually tanking the dragon himself.
Yeah.
As well.
And you can see Rich immediately jumps down, and then 3 members of Dynamics just immediately converges onto Ruler as soon as they spotted him alone. So there's absolutely no reason for the Kalista to be isolated from his teammates whatsoever.
Yeah, it's very true. Now on second look, it's like, yeah, I mean, he absolutely was in the wrong spot there. And that was a 950 shutdown, 950 gold, all going into the pockets of Rich. I feel like it would have been a bit better for Kuzan. Maybe he can carry like ultra late game with 6-item Corki, but even so, I mean, it's Rich on Aatrox, so I don't really want to complain. I think that guy can make it work, even though it is, of course, the Aatrox, which is not necessarily a later game scaling champion. And now I just wonder, you know, that was kind of like the fluke, you know, like the one chance that Team Dynamics were given to come back in the game. Was that enough of a fluke to actually, you know, come in here, win some team fights, challenge at Baron? GuGer is trying to lead the charge right now.
Maybe they have a sliver of chance if it were not Tri-Cloud, but it's Tri-Cloud, so even they get the Quad Cloud and acquire the Cloud, so I just don't see how they can overcome such a difference in firepower right now.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing too. I mean, you know, it does feel like that, especially when you look at the golds, but you are going up against Rascal, Clid, Life, who are all melee, and then you got Ruler, who's very short range, up against this actually really fed Corki. right now. He doesn't have the most gold in the game, but he's getting there, right? We're at 31 minutes, and he's going to be throwing out an insane amount of missiles. I mean,
he has the 3 core items equipped.
With the Cloud Drakes that they have picked up.
Aphelios also finished as Phantom Dancer. So he's on the 3 core items as well.
And those 2 scaling champions, they love a lot of Gen.G's comp. Now, I feel like the wild card is BDD, right? BDD has the range, he has the ability to hardcore engage onto the lack of mobility Aphelios, but if he doesn't show up, they might be in a little bit of trouble here, Gen.G. You gotta be careful. And I think that's why they are taking it so slow now after, you know, after the Cloud Drake fight. Before this, I think they should have gone a bit faster with, you know, the Renekton eventually falling off, the Volibear losing a bit of value.
Yeah, Gen.G's momentum has been put on a break due to that Kalista's misplay. But so far, it's still 2 levels ahead of Aphelios. So I just don't see a potential possibility for Dynamics to overcome this deficit unless they get a immaculate engagement onto the main carries of Gen.G.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, Azir's Emperor's Divide allows the melee champions of Gen.G to converge onto Dynamics' main carry.
Here we go. That's a big engage onto Kuzan, but they do get the exhaust onto Renekton, but he's so tanky right now. That was not the fight that Team Dynamics were looking for, although deokdam is getting a lot of value. That's a lot of low health bars. Unfortunately, though, for Team Dynamics, it was such a wonky and messy fight to start with, and a great engaged follow-up from Light that they were able to just put the nail in the coffin of that fight. They get the 2 kills, still a lot of low health bars, but they will be at least able to pick up a Cloud Drake.
Yep, and Gen.G just told Dynamics, we ain't making the same mistake twice. And then now they're gonna take both the Cloud Drake and the Nasher as well. Or actually they back off due to Volibear being mutilated by the angry Nasher right there.
Mutilated indeed.
Yep, and here you can see that Kuzan comes in, DP, and then Rascal was in position where Kuzan will be, and then Kuzan, Rich were knocked up, and Kuzan had to escape from the fight immediately. So that means 0 damage output from Corki from there on. So just that one play essentially made this team fight in Gen.G's favor from the get-go. Like, it seemed Kuzan got too impetuous with his moves, so he wanted to rush himself ASAP to the scene of team fight, and then he just got ambushed by Renekton and Alistar, and then although he didn't die, but he had to be removed from the team fight, and that means that Dynamics just takes severe loss in their firepower.
Yeah, it's true. And you think about the way that fight went, I mean, they were fighting on top of the package that Kuzan did get down, but it was the end of the package mostly, so it didn't last for too long. But even then, at the end of the day, I mean, they get the 2 kills, yes, but Gen.G, they only run away with the Baron. And still, deokdam was almost able to shell down 5 members by himself. He is reaching that 200-year stage. And the amount of range that Dynamics have on a couple of their carries is definitely going to be a problem for the Kalista as the game does come along. She's great at taking these objectives. She's great in the mid-game. But this game, it's going late as they're going to go for the Baron here. We're going to get some vision in, and Beyond is just going to be zoned out. There's no way he's going to get in. It's going to be an easy Baron take going over to the side of Gen.G, who after that have now taken a 10,000 gold lead.
Yeah, the lack of flash from Olaf just didn't allow him to go for that steal because Azir has his both eyes wide open, just waiting. Come here, son. So.
Yes, of course, Olaf, the son of Azir. That's the way the lore goes, of course. And oh god, Brian just gave me a weird look. Yeah, so they're gonna push in here with the Baron. See what they can do. They're going actually for, it looks like 3 lanes. Okay, middle is going to push and then rotate bot. It looks like Rascal is going to sit up there on the top side. try to push in with the 4 and 1.
Well, unlike some of the Gen.G's previous series, they're having a very difficult time closing this game out. And then Dynamics must wonder that as long as we don't really screw up big time in the early phase of their games, then they actually may even have chance to overcome this potential 0-1 deficit and then get the series. Because right now, yes, Dynamics scratched and clawed to make some plays here and there and try to go for an epic comeback, but it just doesn't seem plausible at all. Both mid and bot lanes inhibitors are gone. Top's about to be gone as well. And yes, Kuzan was able to catch up in itemization and level to Azir. However, Aphelios is just too far behind to Kalista. I think that's the biggest issue here. And once again, deokdam wasn't able to redeem himself from his underperformance in the previous encounter between the two.
Yeah. So it looks like this game might just go down. I think you're right. I mean, deokdam is not doing anything in here. The package finally going to be used into the Valkyrie as well. Deokdam's going to get dunked. Call him deokdam from now on. Kuzan going to try to flash away, and he's doing a decent job of kiting the Renekton, but it doesn't really seem to matter as Bridge is going to be pulled in. And down will go the Nexus in 37.5 minutes.